You're listening to BlackSwanRadio.com. This is your destination for Worldview conversation and flight music with your man Rondale L. Jordan. And I am here to encourage you to explore the Word and the world of God, because I believe the world across the borders is God's greatest sanctuary. I believe that God reveals itself in mysterious ways, in your everyday life. We have what we call miracles, typically associated with finances, right? But we have our little miracles and timing and things. But when we travel, when we venture, when we go above and beyond, we come back with a testament, a testimonial, right? We come back with an extraordinary experience, not an ordinary experience, right? And typically, it involves God, and not necessarily what they're describing in the institutions, the mainstream, right? We have to be careful because not everybody's God is the same. People believe in all different type of things. You have to specify what is God, because God is just a title that we give something that we hold high, right? So I like to use the word the Most High, because number one, the Most High understands the heart, the nature of the man. Even with our flaws, we could be even a little bit misguided or confused, but God knows the sincere or authentic. So it doesn't really matter what word you say. It is what you are trying to describe, what that word symbolizes. You see what I'm saying? Because every language has its own term for God, whether it's Deus, whether it's God, whether it's Jesus, whatever it is that you choose to represent that significant source power within your life. Most people I know, when you say God, they look into the sky. They look into outer space as if God is an extraterrestrial of some type of sort, and is somehow this human being that is, beyond. But in my mind, it's a conscious. Really, it's not something physical, which a lot of people seem to have a hard time wrapping their minds around it. They really need the image of the ghost that they portray on TV in order to visualize or imagine the supernatural. But for me, that's not how it works. For me, it's about timing. It's about the things that we cannot control, the people that we interact with. We can control how we interact with them, but we can't control the human being that happened to be at that customer service desk. Right? You may need a certain type of spirit in order to be able to make your circumstances, to realize your circumstances. And if you get the wrong person, someone with a bad attitude, someone who has no patience, someone's just there because, they gotta pay rent, but they don't really like their job, that individual, because they're having a bad day, they woke up with a bad attitude, that can cause you to have a, missed flight or, a bad connection. But if the timings are right, sometimes I think God does things to put you in alignment with his timing. Maybe you're a little too early. Maybe you're a little too late. Maybe you think this is all on you. Maybe he does something to confirm the presence of God. Like, you're like, wow, how did that happen? That was miraculous. This has happened to me so much now that I have developed a sense of peace and calmness, especially when you kind of go into the circumstances like, well, it is what it is. If God is ordained, this is going to happen. You know what I mean? But if it's not, I have to just do it another time, right? You have to, maybe it's not meant to be. And still put in full faith, meaning like go through the process. Even when it seems like it's a lost cause, but if you go through the process, sometimes you allow whatever that miracle is to occur. And so maybe it occurred because God wanted you to have a testimony that was greater than you just going on vacation. To be able to encourage others to persevere. I persevered. I even canceled that flight and bought another one knowing that I was going to get refunded on that. And after I was late. But still went. And then, when it all works out, it all works out. It works out. And so I think that, I often pray, especially in my journeys, that God be with me. Right? That it's on his timing, divine timing, that I will encounter the right people along the way, and that I will go with a generous heart, to a certain degree, and based on, a reasonable, based on what I can afford. I'm going with the intention to be an ambassador for, my likeness. And my interactions have all been pleasant. Of course, there's been circumstances where it's like, I wish I could have maybe contribute more to them. And I have to maybe, put that into my mind. All right, we switch it up a little bit. every time I go on an adventure, I return more fortified in my spirit and my faith. Of course, I think it produces, endorphins, dopamine. It's a little bit of a thrill, oftentimes, especially, it's been several times where I flew standby. So sometimes you're dealing with pressures of the unknown. Flying can be a little bit, stressful, until you're really behind security or you're on the path. But flight does take a certain disposition. I really like working at the airport because I like being around people going places. If you're going places, this means that you're on a purpose. You have a purpose. You're just not there for any old reason. And so that kind of has to have an energy, right? And so when the energy is, collected, Like, so if you are among this energy and it's thousands of people in the airport at once, all exuding this energy of purpose, going places, right? You have the business class, you have the pilots, you have, all these different professions that makes this possible. And I'm always taken by how complex the aircraft is. Even just the landing gear alone. It's each part and how detailed and intricate not only the engineering of during the process of improving and evolving, but just each component, from the spring to the specialized screw to the hydraulic, the nitrogen in the tire. There's so much going on in just the landing gear, and this gear must go up into the plane, and it weighs tons, and so the aircraft is accommodating not only this landing gear, but the weight of the plane itself, the people, the luggage, the fuel, the water, all on these two little engines. I mean, the engines are large compared to who we are in our stature, but flight is a miracle within itself of man and God, and that's very, very important. That's like the lords, the masters of aviation and engineering, and aligned with what God has made, the bird, the falcon, and us imitating or emulating our Creator. And I think that's fascinating, and I very much enjoy being a part of that. Tune in to another Black Swan.